Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Callie, and today I'm going to be going through all the books that I plan on reading for August. My tower just started to fall, so this is off to a great start. I had a very successful July reading month. I read a lot more than I typically do in July. I'm trying not to hold that standard for August because I don't think I can read, again, 19 books in a single month. I think that was a fluke because of the 4th of July weekend. I didn't do anything but sit in my house and read books the entire weekend. Without further ado, let's get into the books. So the first two books that I want to read in August, I read Heart of Thorns, which is a reread for me. And I read that book right as it came out 2 or 3 years ago when I just got back into reading. So I had to wait for the sequels to come out, and they came out they were always delayed. So I actually never had a chance to finish the series. So I want to get to Tears of Frost by Bree Barton, as well as Soul of Cinder by Bree Barton, finishing off the Heart of Thorns series, which is following a girl, Mia, who is trained her entire life to be a witch hunter. And her ultimate goal is to find the witch that killed her mother. And on her wedding day, she's marrying a prince, because of course she is, she finds out that she is a witch and now has to go on the run with said prince, because the way she finds out is she heals him. And they're just kind of on the run, and she has to try and figure out, how am I a witch? What? And kind of understand that her worldview is so small, and she gets this just explosion of her worldview in the first book, and it's beautiful. So very excited to get to these two books and finish out the series. I think this is a highly underrated series. I loved Heart of Thorns. I was really skeptical to reread it because I read it when I was basically loving everything that I picked up. So I was a little afraid that that was going to skew. While it was a little predictable at times, and I'll do a full review when I do my July wrap up, but I still think it holds up, and I would highly recommend this series. But I will say, I have been warned, there are a lot of trigger warnings with this series, with abuse, sexual assault, trauma, and just a slew of trigger warnings. So there are author's notes in the front of each book, so please read them before you decide to dive into the series. Next, I want to pick up The Red Pyramid by Riordan. I haven't read a Riordan book in probably 10 years. The last time I picked one up, I have actually not finished the Percy Jackson series. I think I read the first 3 books, 2 or 3, I don't remember. It was so long ago. So I do plan on rereading that series and maybe actually finishing it at some point in time in my life. I'll get there. But I really wanted to pick up the Kane Chronicles, which is, instead of the Greek gods like Percy Jackson, we're following the Egyptian gods. So we're following these 2 siblings who are kind of thrust into this Egyptian world of gods unbeknownst to them. And they're like 14 and 12. So, I don't know. I've always been intrigued by Egyptian mythology, and I have high hopes because Percy Jackson's so good. Why wouldn't this be good? Plus, it's a whole different set of lore that, while I know bits and pieces of Egyptian mythology, I don't know a ton. So, it'll mostly be new. Up next, I have Kingdom of the Blazing Phoenix by Julie C. Dow. This is the sequel to Forest of a Thousand Lanterns. This is a duology. The first book was a origin story for the evil queen within the Snow White world. This we're actually following, I believe it's 15 or 16 years later, and we're following our Snow White as she tries to understand, get her kingdom back, basically. And I'm excited to get to this. The writing is extremely magical and atmospheric. It was in the first book, so I have a lot of high hopes that it will continue. I'm excited to see this Snow White perspective, considering the first book was all from our evil queen perspective and getting her origin story, and our main character was barely born in that book. So it's definitely a different way of approaching a duology, and I'm excited to see how it finishes out. Up next is a book that I've had on my TBR forever, and that is The Glass Spare by Lauren DeStefano. This follows a princess who is basically the spare in her family and is trying to get the reverence and acknowledgement from her father, the king, but she ends up discovering she has an ability that she can't control, that whatever she touches turns to gems. And this world is very steampunky. As you can see, my bookmark's in it. I'm about 100 pages in. It's very steampunky, and I really enjoy that aspect. And it's got really good sibling dynamics. And where I'm at in the book currently, shit just hit the fan. And I'm ready for our plot to soar. Up next, I want to finish out another duology, which is Crown of Thunder by Tochi Onyebuchi. This is the sequel to Beasts Made of Night, which follows a young boy who is the most successful sin eater. And this is the second book in that duology. The first book ended not terribly in a cliffhanger, so I'm curious as to where it's going to go from here. These books aren't terribly long, but interested to see where this is going to go. Plus, it's a really cool tiger. I have Set Fire to the Gods by Sara, Raasch, and Kristen Simmons. This is a gladiator gods, very Roman-inspired story where we're following our main girl who is a gladiator, and she challenges a god to this big fight in a coliseum, and I think our story goes from there. That's about all I know about this. I really liked Sara Raasch's first series. I've never read anything by Kristen Simmons, but I have high hopes for this duology. I have The Wicked Will Rise by Danielle, Paige. This is the second book in the Dorothy Must Die series, which I read the first book last month. Everything blurs. This one's a lot shorter, but we're basically following a girl who has kind of been dropped into Oz. Dorothy's our bad guy, so we're kind of just going from there. And I enjoyed the first book. It was pretty good, so I am intrigued to get into the actual series. Plus, the rest of the series is like tiny books compared to the first, so they've got to just be quick reads. And I don't know, Oz is an interesting place. Up next, I have another book that's been on my TBR what seems like forever, and that is The Glass Sentence by S.E. Grove. I know absolutely nothing of this book. I think it has to do with map making and a compass. All I know is I bought this book probably in one of my very first book outlet orders for the sole reason that, look at this. This is the only reason. So, I don't know. I have zero clue what it's about. There's a compass on it. I'm sure that's got something to do with it. That's about all I have. And the last book on my official TBR for the month of August, I have Witches Steeped in Gold by Ciannon Smart. This is a really hyped book about dueling witches in an, I believe, African-inspired mythology-based story. And I've heard nothing but amazing things about this, and I am so excited to jump into it. Not to mention, I think this is my Fairy Loot edition, I think. I got two of these, one from Owl Crate, one from, I think this is the Fairy Loot one, because I liked this one better. But nonetheless, super excited to actually get to this. So that's my official 10-book TBR. I have 4 more books that I have added. So Sara and I are buddy reading. We're trying to get back into doing buddy reading, the book club, and all of that. So the book we picked for the month of August is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Now, I've read Circe, and I loved Circe. I love anything Greek mythology. I love it. So the Song of Achilles is obviously we're going to follow the story of Achilles and I believe Patroclus. I'm super excited. I've heard nothing but amazing things about this book, and I know I love Madeline Miller's writing, so I'm super pumped to get to her other book. Up next is Sara picked out a book for me, and she picked out for me to read Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. She said that it is full of whimsy and it's just a really fun read. Follows a young man in Mexico where his family is not accepting of his gender. I believe he is trans. I believe he is a transgender. character, and he is trying to prove himself as a brujo and accidentally summons a dead kid who was a bully in his school, opposed to his cousin. And our plot kind of goes on from there. And I've heard nothing but a lot of books I read, I hear nothing but amazing things, because I like to read good books, because I like to think I have good taste. But I've heard really good things about this. I also follow Aiden Thomas on social media, and I love their stuff. It's super cool to watch them talk about their books. I also recently just got their second book, Lost in the Neverwoods, which is a Peter Pan retelling, which I'm hoping to get to soon as well. So, very excited to get to this. Next, I have We Are the Fire by Sam Taylor. I decided to pick this up for this month just for funsies. Basically, we're following these two kids who were taken as children and are a part of this like magical army against their will, and they decide to revolt, I think. I don't know. I pre-ordered this when it came out at the beginning of the year because the cover is really cool. And they're like monstrous children because they have like they have like antlers. I don't know. I'm super excited. They're rebels. I don't know. I'm super excited to get to this. This is a standalone, and I feel like there should be more standalones. And the last book that I want to read for the month of August is Wolf Speaker by Tamora Pierce. Last month, Sara picked out Wild Magic for her pick for me, and I ended up really enjoying it. So naturally, I picked up the sequel, and I'm gonna try and read all of the books. Not all of Tamora Pierce, because that's a heavy feat, but at least all of the Immortals quartet. So in Wild Magic, we're following a young girl who has this uncanny way about her and animals, and she ends up getting mixed up with a bunch of different higher-ups within her world. And I'm super excited to continue on her journey and kind of grow with her, because she was kind of an annoying little 12-year-old, but 12-year-olds are annoying. So, I was told she grows. And so that is my TBR for the month of August. I'm really excited. I've gotten a pretty good head start on it, considering that it is August 8th. So that's going to be it for today's video. Please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. We post videos every Tuesday and Thursday with the occasional Sunday. And I will see you guys in our next one. Bye!